So, an anonymous official in the Biden administration has said the U.S. is likely to send Ukraine long range Army tactical missile systems, or ATACMS, to help in its fight to repel Russia from its territory. And this comes from a couple of U.S. officials. Now, one official who apparently has access to the security assistance plans went on to say they are coming. A second official, also anonymous, said that the missiles are on the table and will likely be included in an upcoming security assistance package, adding that the final decision has not been made and it could be months before Ukraine receives these missiles. Now, I'm not a big fan of claims made by anonymous officials, but since it's been over a year since I talked about this, it's worth revisiting the capabilities of Western-provided missiles in Ukraine. So currently the HIMARS that Ukraine is using fires a variant of either the M26, which is an unguided rocket, or the M30/M31, which is a guided rocket, and then they also have a scatterable mine version that they're using as well. From a range perspective, you can see how far a standard Gimler's rocket goes in the green here. There's an extended range version of the Gimlers that extends it out to 150 kilometers, which is the yellow. This is actually also how far the U.S.-provided glide bombs go, the GLSDB, and that is something Boeing manufactures. So from the perspective of the ATACMS, though, the red outline is the range of the ATACMS. And what is key here is you can see the Kerch Bridge is now in range for sure. Now, the Ukrainians had a weapons platform that would put the Kerch Bridge in range, and that was the Storm Shadow missile, which was a joint venture by the United Kingdom and France, and it has a 500-kilometer range. It also has a bunker-busting capability, but as a cruise missile, it flies slower at only 728 miles per hour, or around between 1,100 and 1,200 kilometers per hour. This means that it is something that takes longer to get from the launch point, and this is an air launch system, meaning an aircraft has to carry it and then launch it for it to be used in a system that can attack the Kerch Bridge or any other target within Russian-controlled territory. Although it is a standoff weapon and has a longer range, it does require an aircraft to take off from a dedicated airfield in Ukraine carrying this missile and firing it. The ATACMS, on the other hand, travels at 2,283 miles per hour, or about 3,700 kilometers per hour, is very fast compared to the Storm Shadow. And the Kerch Bridge being around 180 miles, or 290 kilometers from Ukrainian controlled territory, puts that bridge well within the range of this missile, with it being a 300-kilometer range. This means the ATACMS, when fired from Ukrainian-controlled territory, can arrive on target within 3 minutes. It's very fast compared to the Storm Shadow, which takes about 15 minutes to get there if you were launching from Kherson towards the Kerch Bridge. That being said, there's some limitations that come with the ATACMS. It is a ballistic missile, meaning it has a ballistic trajectory. This means that in that 3-minute window, there is a predictable arc that can be calculated, and theoretically, Russia could be able to intercept it a little bit easier than a more maneuverable, stealthy Storm Shadow that could be hugging the ground. The Storm Shadow hasn't been launched that we've seen en masse against the Kerch Bridge because there are significant defenses. Those defenses, though, en route to the bridge, have been severely degraded recently, and I've talked about this across much of Kherson and Crimea, meaning the ATACMS missile may have much more successes in this area than the Storm Shadow. Furthermore, the ATACMS is significantly cheaper, and you hate to put a price on Ukraine trying to win, but this equipment does cost money, and a single one of those Storm Shadow missiles costs about twice as much as a single ATACMS missile. The ATACMS is about $1.5 million per missile. Now, the HIMARS launch platform also gives incredible capability because it can move around the battlefield at will. It has a tactical advantage over an aircraft that has to launch from a dedicated airfield. Therefore, the Ukrainians can move it or supply these across multiple avenues because they have multiple HIMARS on the ground, giving them the ability to attack regions across the battlefield, including Crimea. I think the United States is probably going to put a moratorium on allowing them to attack deep into Russian territory, which I disagree with. I also don't know why they have this highlighted as well, because that's Belarus. So the fact of the matter is, this is going to give Ukraine some additional capability, but like everything on the battlefield, it's incremental capability. It's slowly gaining a tactical advantage so that they have an overarching strategic advantage over the coming months to year. This battle isn't going to be won with ATACMS, just like it's not going to be won with F-16s, but small incremental growth in F-16s and ATACMS and providing more Western tanks. Eventually, Ukraine will be able to overcome Russian defenses and therefore cause a major collapse in the front line like we've seen in Kharkiv or in Kherson.